I can't believe I'm saying this, but the CW network, the same network that gave us slop like The Flash post season 3 or 4 depending on who you ask, as well as Batwoman and Gotham Knights, also houses the best interpretation of Superman since Christopher Reeve. I don't care who I'm about to piss off in this video. Y'all can cry like babies in the comment section all you want. This is the greatest Superman put to screen in years. And it's not even on the big screen. Actually, Henry Cavill is the greatest adaptation of Superman.
I don't fucking care.
Superman and Lois is one of the best slept on live action DC shows to date. And it sucks how underrated the show is since it aired on the CW. But do not be fooled. This show understands its characters and treats them with care. It has some of the best emotional moments I've seen in a superhero show. Unlike Batman, where the CW for some reason has no love for the character or any of the Batman mythos, manifesting some of the smelliest pieces of garbage related to Batman that I've ever seen. Boy, the glazing I'm about to do for Superman and Lois about to be astronomical. I'm about to be on my Daniel LaRusso glazing Mr. Miyagi kind of timing.
13. Very expensive ticket. Savings for college education.
Mr. Miyagi, you're more important than college. You're more important than anything to me. I mean,
we don't teach these kids to fight with anger. That's not the Miyagi-Do way.
Yes, stroke it, Daniel-san. Between the episodes of The Penguin and season 4 of Superman and Lois releasing weekly, I was out here feasting with good DC content. Even though it may not be the greatest action-packed Superman or doesn't put as much emphasis on the superhero aspect as one might think, the writing throughout the course of the series more than makes up for it. As I was watching, I wasn't really looking for CGI fights or waiting for Superman to punch his way out of every situation, because the show makes you care about the internal conflicts the main characters go through. Seasons 3 and 4 really hone in on what the family has to go through with Lois Lane, and then what eventually happens with Superman in the 4th and final season. The writers perfectly understand what makes Superman / Clark Kent compelling as a character and how relatable he is to the average man. Not to knock on any previous versions, but I don't think there is a single show or movie out there that captures the human nature of Superman better than Superman and Lois. In fact, no other medium has made you as emotionally invested in Superman than this series has. Clark in the show is a loving father of twins, and a lot of the emotional moments work in his efforts of trying to protect his family and friends. If there's anything to take away from the Superman, it's the importance of loving those around you and holding on to that love, as it all passes by so quickly in the end. Despite being incredibly powerful, casual viewers forget that he's just a regular guy, a loving family man with a dorky personality.
That I'm just a regular guy. But, beyond the powers, I'm a husband, I'm a father, and I made a lot of mistakes. But really I'm just like anyone else out there who loves their family and wants to be better for them.
The 4th season conveys the grand sense of loneliness Clark felt growing up all the way into his adult life before he met Lois, due to trying to keep his identity a secret. The overprotective nature of his parents because of his abilities kind of hindered any potential relationships or connections he could have had while both being Clark Kent and Superman.
You just didn't want to play.
No, I really did. Honestly,
You and me, no one said we have to be buds.
You missed the game on purpose, huh?
It's the only way to keep the secret.
You okay?
I'm used to it.
Every member of the Kent family serves a purpose and doesn't hinder the storytelling in any way. The twins Jonathan and Jordan Kent don't hold back Superman or take away from what's interesting. They are a driving force in the show's narrative and emotional core. Lois Lane is not just a side character. She is an integral part of the show's focus, which should be the case as the show is titled Superman and Lois, one of the better depictions of Lois Lane in any medium thus far. The show doesn't try to forcefully tell you or shove it down your throat that she's a competent character. It's clearly conveyed through her actions and how she handles situations to protect her family alongside Clark. So it is possible for the CW to write really compelling, likable female characters in superhero shows that aren't annoying. The 4th and final season is hands down the best season in the whole show. The writers knew they had to go out with a bang and were in their bag with every episode of the season. I just really appreciated how no episodes were wasted, the pacing was on point. The 7th episode of the season, A Regular Guy, is quite literally, no exaggeration, the greatest episode in the entire series. It's that peak.
It is a masterpiece, James. Complete, comprehensive.
Not only did the CW give us some of the best versions of Clark Kent via Smallville and Superman and Lois, those same two shows also gave us some of the best depictions of Lex Luthor. In an age where writers are obsessed in making villains sympathetic, or hey, their goals are kinda justified, or they're low-key right. I'm just happy that Lex Luthor in this show is a menace through and through. Michael Cudlitz's performance embodies Luthor's hater-like energy. Very cold and calculating, always 2 steps ahead and will sacrifice anything or anyone to get what he wants. His motivation for even being an antagonist in season 4 solely stems out of sheer pettiness and a desire for revenge against Lois Lane and her family. Please bring back villains like this. I'm getting tired of trying to understand these antagonists. Luthor comes in on some straight up, yeah, I want to make your life and Superman's as miserable as possible. Like, I don't know how you can get more Lex Luthor than that. Okay, now I'm about to get into some heavy spoilers. So if for whatever reason you haven't seen the latest season or haven't even seen the show at all,
Get the fuck out!
not only does this show have some of the best depictions of Superman and Lex Luthor, it somehow has the best live action version of Doomsday. And again, it's not even a theatrical movie. How are you gonna let the CW outshine you in Doomsday's character design?
Come on now, dawg. Come on, man.
A show is going to have its advantages in building up to something grand or laying the groundwork for a particular story arc, which is why this is probably my favorite spin on the whole death of Superman thing. Well, yes, you know Superman always comes back in any adaptation of the death of Superman, whether it be the animated movies or in Batman v Superman. The show does it better than any other version by making you feel the emotional toll of Superman's loss and how it affected his family and the people of Smallville. You know he's coming back, but just seeing the reactions from Lois Lane, Jordan and Jonathan, the music, how it's shot, the cuts of flashbacks, it just has that oomph you need in properly conveying the death of Superman, because you've spent so much time connecting with these characters, which is exactly why you cannot have Doomsday kill Superman in his second appearance in an established universe. It's stupid and you feel no emotional weight. Even when Superman does eventually come back, there are still massive repercussions from his death at Doomsday's hand. In order to bring him back, Lois's father Sam Lane sacrificed himself so that his heart could be used to replace Superman's after Doomsday ripped it out. The problem is that Sam Lane was a 60-year-old man, and the side effects it had on Superman include him slowly losing his powers and eventually becoming powerless one day. I'ma keep it a buck, I am usually not a fan of the idea of Superman revealing his secret identity to the world. However, this show's execution of said concept is so well done that I can't even be mad at it. This wasn't a decision that came out of the blue. It was built upon over the course of several episodes as the people of Smallville were slowly figuring out that Clark Kent and Superman were one and the same. Whether it would be colleagues of Jordan and Jonathan Kent, their former football coach, or other random civilians. A bunch of people saw Lois and the twins' reaction to Superman's death on the street and sort of put 2 and 2 together. It was getting that much more difficult to protect the secret. Not to mention how much keeping the secret has affected Clark over the years, as well as seeing similar struggles his 2 boys face while trying to maintain their relationships.
Little birdie told me something about you. After you slammed me against that counter, I wondered, how could some mild-mannered nothing make a fool out of me? That was all a lie, Superman. But you come any closer. Now I'm not leaving until everyone here knows the truth.
Put the gun down. And I've been hiding this my entire life. When Emmett fired that bullet, I started to think maybe this is doing more harm than good. Which is why it needs to be a family decision. This would put all of us in the spotlight, and there'd be no going back.
It is you.
I'm sorry I lied to y'all for so long.
The end of Superman and Lois really marks the end of an era of DC TV shows airing on the CW, as all the other Arrowverse shows, or just DC shows in general that aired on the CW, have already ended. It's kind of cathartic that these types of DC shows started and ended with Superman. Smallville really was the first of the bunch, a show centered on Clark Kent learning to become Superman, following his journey from his teenage years into young adulthood. While Superman and Lois centers on Clark Kent 20 plus years into his career, doing the best he can as a husband and a father. The Arrowverse in its entirety has had its share of flaws, but it's had its upsides as well, especially during the early seasons of The Flash and Arrow. I grew up with the Arrowverse, so there's always going to be an aspect to it that I can appreciate. I don't care whether you like the CW shows or not. You better go ahead and watch Superman and Lois at your earliest convenience. I ain't asking, Brody, and this isn't a request. It's a demand. If you've heard myself or other people praise the show and you still haven't watched it, boy, I'd
slap the shit out you, nigga. Dumbass nigga.